Hi there everyone, this is Damari and you're watching the Shadow Work Tarot reading for mid to late August 2019, and this is for the sign of Libra. So this is the final one for this particular month. So before we begin, I just want to explain the setup of this reading. So to begin with, I will be pulling cards from the Dark Mirror Oracle deck, and the good thing about this deck is that it highlights the shadow aspects that we often have to contend with, not just the shadow side of ourselves, but more to do with the darker emotions, thoughts, behaviours, circumstances, that are associated with the things that are lurking just behind, the surface, or just beneath the surface, rather. So it's really good for that, and it's really good for doing the shadow work and just getting a bit more clarity as to what's going on, especially if you are in the thick of it. So that's why I like using it for this particular kind of reading. And then to clarify, we'll be using the Wild Unknown Tarot. Okay, so let's just get started. So, what shadow aspects? Oops, sorry, my chair's squeaking really badly at the moment. So what shadow aspects are Libra contending with right now? Okay, so you've got Triumph of Lies to begin with. And just to make things more clear, I always pull at least two cards, two of these oracles, so you can see what's happening, because there's never just one thing in isolation. So I just want to get at least one more card for you. I usually don't pull more than three, but for these particular reasons I've had two, so one more will be absolutely fine. Okay, an obsession, interesting combination. Triumph of Lies and obsession. So as you can see, to begin with, you have this mannequin body, a skull head, and then a golden crown hovering above it. So that's quite an interesting depiction. And what I'm going to do is I will give you the background first from the booklet, so you have a bit more insight as to what the card was created to represent, and then we can discuss it in a practical way so you can see how that would apply to your current circumstances. So this is actually the very first card in the deck, so let's just go straight there. Going dark. The Triumph of Lies is about appearance, and appearance is always so important in the world. Day by day it seems more important. Can that be a lie too? We seek to be what the world outside desires, and not necessarily society at large. Our family or partners or friends place judgments on what we should be. In the dress we choose, we carve a mask of expectations, behaviours and values to live by. It offers stability to ourselves and to our relations, as being honest and true to ourselves can be too tiring, too easy to make us hurt. Unfortunately, the relationship with our mask is not as straightforward as it feels. Inside the mask, envy grows, vanity takes root, lack of self-confidence becomes a habit, ignores us and hurts us from the inside. It feels like it is ourselves, but it's not really authentic. It's just a lie we've made a habit to believe in. When our lie becomes a gilded cage and our dress become a burden, we should remember that we were born naked. Okay, so that's the main aspect of this card. It's recognizing that, the projection that you put out there of yourself doesn't represent your core, right? And all too often we get so wrapped up in how we're perceived and how we wish to be perceived that we lose sight of, our true selves, how we really are. When you strip ego away and you really just lay yourself bare, that's when you get to the heart of the matter. That's when you really see what you're made of, what your true worth is. And this is basically saying that Don't allow the pressures of the society in which you are operating in currently dictate how you behave, how you feel, what you show of yourself, because you need to live in your authentic light. Otherwise, that's going to lead to envious feelings towards those who can. It's going to be leading into all sorts of materialistic and narcissistic kind of behaviours. So it's really important that you keep yourself grounded and know that, the mask is something you can take off any time. It's not something that's supposed to rule your life. It's something that you choose to wear as and when you see fit. But it's much better if you can live more authentically without worrying about the pressures of how you'll be perceived, right? I know that's easier said than done, especially in this day and age where, we're all completely driven by social media. I mean, this video, for example, is going on YouTube, right? And will be shared across social media. So I know, say for example, in my position, it'd be tempting to project this image of being an all-knowing, all-wise individual, but that's not realistic. As much as I'm helping you on your journey, I am very much embarking on my own, right? So that's how I'm able to relate, because I'm going through it as well, or there's certain aspects I've already been through, right? So yes, I think it's really important that you keep yourself grounded and not get too caught up in how you what image you wish to project, whether it's in terms of wealth, societal status, career, beauty, any of those things. You need to keep a grounded perception, so you don't lose sight of what truly matters and you don't bend on your principles. So that's really important. So let's move on to the next card, and you have here obsession, as you can see. Now, obsession is that pretty much is self-explanatory, right? You're obsessed with some aspect of something in your life. But I'll give you the reading, and then again we'll discuss how that can apply to your circumstances or how you're feeling right now. So, going dark. We chase comets and mirrors and shadows. Sometimes we actually chase cars or myths. Obsession is a trick of our perception. Many become one, and that one bloats as to take everything else. It feels like it. Whatever it is, an idea, a person, an objective, flavors our life and gives meaning to it. As all the light through a lens, it converges on a single point, and that point goes ablaze, under the greatest fire. But in truth, we are more than enacting our life. It numbs our attention to the rest. It makes us feel more awake, by hiding the rest of the world under a cloud of slumber. Obsession is a drug. In small doses it whips, in big doses it kills. If we drown inside an obsession, we should close our eyes. We don't die in the darkness, we just fall asleep, and then we can wake up more naturally. Okay? So what that's addressing is whatever it is that you're getting completely hung up on. It could be, it's likely to be in relation to how you wish to come across to others, and having this elevated status and, being a very well-to-do, position in life, in good standing with the higher echelons of society, that sort of thing. I feel like I think that's where this obsession is kind of geared towards, because you have it with the triumph of lies, right? So I feel like if you're not careful, your desire to belong to a certain social class or to have obtained, wealth or fame, whatever it is, you can lose sight of what's really important and kind of lose yourself in the process, right? Because you've become so tunnel visioned on this one thing. I feel like it should almost be like this, just to illustrate the point, right? That you've become so tunnel visioned on how you appear that you lose sight of what you really are and what you really have to offer, which actually matters more than this projection that you wish to put out there. It's not to say you don't go after your ambitions or your goals, it's just to keep everything in proportion, right? See everything clearly and not with a skewed or through a distorted lens, right? Just to keep everything in perspective. I think that's the main message that's coming across here. So let's jump into the tarot then, and then we can get a bit more clarity as to what's happening in the current time and over the next couple of weeks, so you can keep this warning in mind. I wouldn't say it's anything to be worried about at this stage, but it's something that can, of course, have negative consequences if left unchecked, as with all of these messages. So yeah, it's worth considering and it's worth thinking about. If this resonates with you in any way, really think about how it applies and what it is that you've kind of really been obsessing over lately. What aspect of your life? Is it your finances? Is it peer groups like friends, family, or the kind of networking groups you wish to be a part of? Things like that. Especially if you're in a position where, I don't know, you're an influencer or you're a creator or a business owner. It's very easy to get caught up in that, on how people see you and wanting to be seen in a very specific light. So it's important that if you are in like a sort of public-facing position, that you really keep everything in perspective and you don't lose sight of, your core values and why you began the journey to begin with. Because it could be as well that for some of you, you've already seen some recognition, you've already gained some good social standing because of this, or you've attained a certain level of wealth, and it may be that you're already starting to lose sight of that a little bit. So it's kind of just trying to tell you to rein it in a little bit and keep things, balanced, keep yourself grounded, Remember where you came from, remember who was there for you before all of the hype and the cash and all the rest of it, So we'll just pull out the last set of cards for the final week of August. But yeah, I totally get it though. It's easy to fall into that trap, especially unknowingly. I think a lot of people, we're very quick to judge people for, gaining a little bit of an ego, inflated ego, should I say, overinflated ego. But it can happen without people realizing it. So sometimes you just need to be a gentle reminder that, they're kind of wandering down a path where they're losing sight of what really matters. And I think if you have really good friends, they'll be willing to do that as well. Like a really good friend would be prepared to just pull you to one side and say, look, this is what you're doing right now, you need to be aware because this is how it comes across, right? So if you don't have that, I'm here to be that person, so don't worry. Okay, so let's get stuck in. So to kick off this week, you had the Three of Swords. So yeah, I feel like it's already caused some conflict between you and those that may be close to you. It could be two of your closest friends. It could be, your partner. It could be your parents. I feel like it's not just one person because it's the three as well. I feel like there's multiple people that are kind of getting a bit, not agitated, what's the word I'm looking for. you're basically rubbing them up the wrong way. I hope you understand that term. It might be just a weird English term, but it's like, you're kind of, pushing the wrong buttons for them, right? Because they really don't like this kind of egotistical way of looking at things, I feel. And because you've kind of started to wander a little bit down that path, they're noticing it and they don't like it. So it's causing friction between you and these people. And so some things may have already been said out of spite because of it. You tried, maybe they tried to communicate with you amicably already, and you didn't take it too well, and then things were said in the heat of the moment that was quite painful. It could be that, someone kind of revealed a truth that was quite nasty in the way they delivered it, and that really, upset you, or vice versa. Again, with all of this, you have to just see if it applies to your circumstance and how it best applies, as it is a general read. But I feel like for a few of you, there was some kind of real confrontation, and something was said that was quite nasty by either you or them, and that caused some pain for somebody. So that was earlier this week. So let's look at where we're at now. So you have the Mother of Pentacles in reverse. So that's the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, so I feel like that's how you're feeling right now because of what this confrontation that happened, or this miscommunication. It has you kind of feeling like, people don't see what I'm bringing to the table. They don't see my worth. I've accomplished all this. I've done this all off my own back. And no one's giving me the recognition I deserve. Or it may be a case of I'm faced with a difficult situation, and I'm doing my best within that, and I have these aspirations, but people are judging me based on, this false perception they have on me, Or it could be that, you're having to make a choice that actually, it could be that you're a parent, and that, your career advances is making it difficult to be there for your child. So you're really having to weigh it up, especially because it's causing conflicts within the family dynamic. There's someone that said, look, you need to make your kid the priority, not whatever it is you're chasing after. And you're like, hang on, this is my dreams. You can't tell me to stop, going after my dreams, right? So you've got this conflict of interest between your family and what it is you're going after. I feel like that's going to resonate for quite a few of you, actually. For those of you that have kids or going to be parents, or that have children that are dependent on you, not kids that are older and moved out or whatever, but children that are reliant on you. I feel like for quite a few of you, you're kind of in this awkward position where you're close to obtaining, getting your foot in at least through the door in terms of what you want to achieve career-wise, but at the same time, your family life is suffering as a result, and you're just struggling to find that perfect balance right now. And, you keep telling yourself everything's okay, that it'll be fine, that they just have to understand, but that's not what's been happening. Actually, you've been fighting already over it. And, they're telling you that you're not balancing things, and you're not giving the things that matter most the proper attention. So you're really kind of being pulled in different directions, I feel. And because of that, you feel stuck. You feel like you don't have the answer because you're not prepared to give up on your dreams. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you're there for that family network, right? You're there for your immediate family. So yeah, I can imagine that would be quite difficult to contend with, because of course, you know, your dreams are important, that gives you focus, but at the same time your family needs you also. So I can understand the dilemma for sure. So let's go into towards the end of the week then. So this weekend coming up, we have the Four of Wands in reverse. So I feel like, sorry, not the Four, the Six of Wands in reverse. Oops. So I feel like with this particular card, being under all this as well, that you don't feel like you can make your dreams come true anymore, because this argument or this information that came to light, this thing that was said that really stung, that's made you feel like, okay, I'm just not going to be able to do this then. Like, obviously this has caused way more problems than I anticipated, or, you know, okay, I've got other things coming up, there's some priorities obviously with my family that I need to address, and I'm just going to have to put this on hold for now and address these things, or I'm going to have to change direction or go about this differently because this isn't working. That's what I feel like that is. Like, you recognizing that this isn't working right now, so I need to readdress how I can feasibly do this. It's not to say that you can't still go after this dream career or, you know, move up the ranks in your prospects, whatever it is. It's just that you know that it's not going to work in the way you're trying to do it, so you have to reapproach it. You have to try a different way to get there. Okay, so this is the overall energy for the weekend. This is the kind of thing that you're going to be contending with over the weekend. So let's have a look for early next week. You have the Seven of Wands in the upright. So that's interesting. I feel like someone's going to offer you some support. I think someone's going to see that you really have been trying, and they're going to give you support. They're going to give you a lifeline to say, hey, look, all's not lost. There is a way in which you can do this thing. Let me help you, right? Or let me show you how. Or I have a friend that's really good for this. You know, let me get you in touch with them. I feel like someone is going to be that beacon of light here. And it's really going to support you and help you see more clearly what your options are. Because I think, you know, this communication will have you feeling kind of like defeated. But this person is going to represent a new opportunity for approaching this differently. And, you know, it could be someone that you already work with. It could be a friend, a family member. It could be your partner, it could be anybody really. But I feel like there's someone that's going to see your situation for what it is and is going to try and offer you some support within that. Help you find a new way to approach it so that you can still have the family life, but also go after what it is that you want as well, what really matters to you. So moving into the middle of next week, you have the Son of Pentacles in reverse, which is the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So, yeah, I feel like you're going to have to look at this with fresh eyes. You're going to have to explore some of these alternative options. You have to try them out and see what's going to be the best fit for your particular circumstances. I feel like you may, like, if you have, I think your partner, or if you have an older son, he might be the one that sees your plight and might try and help. Or it could be that at the moment you're estranged from a son, and that's what you're really trying to fix, because your relationship isn't going well right now, and you're really feeling that. So that's why you're trying to find a way to make time and spend time with them as well, because they've really kind of said something that hit you quite hard and made you aware of exactly how they feel. I feel that's going to apply for a small number of you, but there will be some of you that it applies to. I feel like for some others it will be that a male figure in your life, most likely a son or someone younger than you, will offer some support. It could be a colleague, it could be an acquaintance, some kind of business acquaintance, who's had quite a lot of success very early on in his life, will offer some guidance and support, will help you find a new way to approach it. But I feel like, it's going to be a case of, when that support comes in, do take it, because it might help you to find the answer you've been looking for. So going into the end of next week, you have the Ace of Wands in reverse. So I think it's going to really dawn on you why things went the way they did recently, why you've had this conflict with these individuals. And I think you're also going to have a bit of an epiphany that actually you've not really been serving yourself best. That even though you think you are by chasing these goals, with all the energy you have, the way in which you approached it didn't actually, wasn't actually the best thing for you. That it didn't give you that fulfilled feeling that you thought it would, because of how it's affected your family dynamic. And I feel like, from this, you'll realise that maybe there was a little bit of conceit with your aspirations. Maybe it didn't come from the most grounded of places. Maybe, you were just so focused on appearances that you didn't carefully consider what that would mean for your life and how it would affect those closest to you. And it's not to say that you're a conceited person, don't get that twisted. It's just to say that in this feeling of being wrapped up in having this appearance, that kind of brings up, a kind of conceited attitude, right? That kind of ties into that by default. And maybe you didn't realise how you were actually coming across. So you think you're coming across in a certain way, but how you actually came across was quite different, and maybe you realise that coming into the end of next week. And maybe you'll realise that those that you aspire to be like and to be around are not actually the examples you want in your life. You start to see things a little more clearly as for they really are, and you just recognise that that's not really attuned to your values. I feel like this is the big underall theme for this. I keep feeling is know your values, know your worth, right? Because that's really important. And I feel like you've been bending on your values, you've been bending on your true worth to try and fit this ideal, this vision that you have of what the ideal perfect life is, and how you would be within that framework, the kind of person you would be. I feel like you're trying to squeeze yourself into a mold that doesn't suit you, and you're kind of going to really realize that. Actually, you're going to feel that, and you'll realize it coming into the end of next week, that doesn't work for you. And it sure as hell doesn't work for those closest to you, right? So, going into the final week of August, then you have the Ace of Pentacles in the upright. So that's very positive. I think this kind of dawning you have of what's been going on and how it really is, when you start to see things more objectively, that's when you take really assertive action in trying to rectify your mistakes, try and patch things up with whoever you had this confrontation with. this sense of hope that you were losing, you know, towards the end of this week, I feel like you're going to regain it. Because you have this realization and you know that you're being supported and that there is other ways to get there. And not like to get what you thought you wanted and that will make you look and feel a certain way, but the things you truly care about and truly want in your life. And that's going to bring you a whole new level of fulfillment. That fulfillment that you've been waiting for, that you've been seeking, that joy, this new direction is going to help you feel that. And not just when you get to the goal, but along the journey as well. And that's the important thing. So that's really nice. That's a very good turn of events in such a short time as well. So going into the middle of the week, you have Mother of Cups. So I feel like, I'll just explain. That's the Queen of Cups in the upright. So because you've made this decision to approach it differently and take the support and the guidance that's being offered, you're going to feel great. You're going to feel very different. You're going to feel much more aligned with those closest to you. You're going to feel that connection again. That if in the cases where you are estranged from your loved one, they're going to see that you're making the effort, and you know, so they'll extend a limb as well, and you'll really feel that. They'll make you feel genuinely happy, you know, and just knowing that you can find a way to balance the two is going to make your soul sing. It's going to make you feel just in your element, right? Because that's what matters to you, is having this balance. That's what you guys are all about, right? So the problem is when you kind of do get thrown off balance, you find it really hard to see where the center is again. But you know, because you're getting that support, and you know, something was said that probably needed to be said, it helps you find it again. So you're really going to start to feel like you're fulfilling that nurturing, loving, supportive role again, and that's going to make you feel just amazing, you know, because that's what you want. You want to be in a position where you can provide that for your family as well as pursue your own interests. So again, like I said, that's really good. That's really positive. You know, you're coming out of this slightly harsh environment, going to a much more balanced, peaceful state of mind, and your environment will mirror that as well. So, you know, that's really nice. That's great, Libra. So, okay, let's have a look at the end of the week then. So you have the Magician in reverse. So I feel like maybe you've been trying to control way too many things. Like maybe you have a bit of a control freak tendency, which a lot of us do, of course. And sometimes you have to leave things up to divine timing because you can't rush everything too soon. I think that's partially why this conflict came about, because you were just so focused on just getting there and getting it done and being in this high position that you were neglecting all the other aspects of your day-to-day life and your other responsibilities. So I feel like this is kind of reminding you that mastering yourself is also knowing what else that needs your attention, you know, and that includes yourself, not just these aspirations and this image that you're going after, but, you know, you need to know that you have all aspects of your life taken care of. So you really have to address that, but you also have to know when to leave things up to the universe and trust, you know, the work you're doing is paying off, right? So it's knowing when to relinquish some of that control so that favor can come in. Because otherwise, if you try to force a situation, especially if it's not destined to be geared that way for you, if you try and force it, then all you're going to do is work against universal law, and it will just give you more of what you don't want rather than what you do want. So there's certain things that you have to kind of just allow to be. Obviously, of course, you need to still do the work, you still need to put the effort in, you can't just like leave it completely up in the air, but there's certain aspects of it that you just have to trust that will work out in your favour in the end. It might be a long road, it might take time, but if you would do it in a way that's aligned and filled with purpose and intent, then you will get there. So I feel like that's the really key message here as well, is knowing, when to, release some of that iron grip that you have over these circumstances and have a little faith in the universe and yourself, because if you do, it will go a long way, okay? So that's a really interesting read. Like, even though, like I said, you're probably dealing with some quite heavy energies now, I feel like you're kind of in this state at the moment going into this. Particularly over the weekend, I feel like you will be really feeling that. But just keep everything that we've just discussed in mind, because that's really going to help you to center yourself and come to this realization. You should take some time out to really reflect and just look at things objectively. Look at everything you've been doing and see what the consequences of that have been. Did it go the way you anticipated? Did you get the results? If not, what happened? How did it affect you negatively? Who else was affected adversely by it? Really just take a moment to be objective about it, and then you'll be able to see more clearly that there is an alternative way, and maybe the solution is within your reach, even now. So I just pulled the overall energy for the month for you, and that is the Six of Cups in reverse. So yeah, you've not been feeling fulfilled by any means, even though that's what you've been chasing, the thing that you think is going to give you that sense of fulfillment. But as I said, you are going to realise that it's not been the case, and that actually the reason it hasn't been the case is because it's been going against your core principles and the things you care about. It's working in opposition with the rest of your life rather than in unison, right? So when you have that realization, you'll be able to approach it in such a different way that everything starts to harmonize, right? Because that's what's been the problem. Everything's just discordant right now, but things will start to harmonize, and then when they do, you're really going to feel the fulfillment. Then that's when the balance really starts to come into play again. Things are going to feel much calmer within your family dynamics. Just overall, you're going to be in your bliss. So don't take this as something negative. This is just reminding you that this is kind of a little bit of a wake-up call for you, just to keep you back on track and, in center. Because I feel like with whatever dynamic you have in terms of family or this connection that it's in relation to, you're kind of like the bedrock of it. Like you're really, you're like the stabilizing factor of these relationships, right? So I think that's why you're seeing such a strong reaction from those around you, because they're kind of almost counting on you to be the foundation of this family network, So that's why you're really getting the brunt of it, actually. That's not to say they don't have their own work to do. Of course, they'll have things they'll need to address as well, but it's important, at least at this point in time, that you do focus on trying to fix some of that and just communicate clearly what you need as support from these individuals, as well as addressing how you've been approaching it so that you can do it in a much more balanced and thought out way, and no one's really feeling like they're just being discarded for this ideal that you're chasing. So worth thinking about, right? So I hope you found that interesting and insightful. Hopefully, for those of you it resonates with, that helps you to get a bit more clarity on the situation, and then you know, moving forward that there are alternatives, and it's really important to be aware of that. That there's never just one path to anything. There's always multiple ways to approach any given thing. So you will find a solution that works for your particular situation. You just have to really address those issues and accept the support that comes in to help you find a way that will work for your situation. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. This is actually the last video in this series of shadow work tarot readings for August. But there will be more obviously coming up over the next months, and there will be plenty of other readings coming up too. I'll be doing a whole different series of readings next week, so do tune in for that. So thank you once again, Libra, for being here and with me on this new journey, and I look forward to doing your next reading. So take care, see ya.